The nice thing about the old kits is they're so cheap. What do you pay now for an old kit? $15, $20 max?
I have seen these anywhere from 20 to 45.
Yeah.
I think 45 is crazy because God knows, you know, you're going to have fun with it, but you know, you can probably find them for 15 to 20 at a you know, go to Chicago O-scale meet.
Yep.
10 to 20.
Yep.
And you probably have to buy 3 of them because the guy will have 3 on the table and he wants you to take all 3 of them for you know, take them. Why don't you take them all? And, you know, if you're smart, you say, yeah, why not? 3 times the fun for 3, you know, for that price. It's not, you know, you can't turn some of these things down. And, you know,
somebody that's never built a kit before, what have you got involved? I mean, you've got
not much of this.
Not hardly any money involved in trying to get started with something like this.
I probably paid more for the 6-wheel trucks than I did for the kit.
Yeah, yeah.
But I saw those at the train show, at the Strasbourg train show, and I took one look at them and I said, I know what these are for. They're for. Yeah. And I told the guy, I said, these are for. And he looked at me. He's like, yeah, they're for a passenger car. I said, no, they're for a bobber caboose.
Yeah.
And I got a really interesting look at and several head shakes, and he's like, yeah, you would. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
That's a nice mark. Thank you so very much.
Yep.
Smoke jack.
Yeah, I could have put one in, but it's a center cupola. Just and the windows. I thought about blanking out one of the windows for doing just that, putting a smoke jack in that one end. And I thought, yeah, I could, or I could just say, get a blanket, you know, hot water bag, you know, bottle and a blanket, and, you know. But, you know, there's no vent for a bathroom either. So, you know, don't want them making hot coffee in their caboose, and could lead to unpleasant consequences downwind.
You can't have everything.
You can have fun. That's the most important part of this. Have some fun with it.
I agree. Martin, thank you so much.
Yep.
All right. Now let's turn to Phil Edholm and find out how a local club or a local NMRA division can help you find people that can help you become a better modeler. Phil, welcome.
Thanks, Jim. Well, today we actually have a very interesting kind of juxtaposition here, because I'm actually going to ask Martin to join me tonight and talk a little bit about, you know, his experiences in being being part of the clubs and divisions in his area. So, Martin, I'm going to ask you to join me, and we will just kind of have a little discussion and go from here. So, why don't we start off, Martin, and tell us a little bit about, you know, kind of what you've done, you know, in terms of clubs and divisions through the years, and what kind of involvement have you had in those two areas?
Okay, clubs easy. Only belong to 1.5 clubs, and only one of them, the only formal one is recent, as of, in fact, this year, which would be the one in Rockville, oddly enough, that Greg Cassidy and that clan operate. The other one would be the informal one in our DC metro area of the O-scale modelers, which had for many years. And we're going back to John Armstrong and Ted Stepik, being sort of a round robin, various members' houses, run trains, enjoy the evening together, fellowship, socializing. That has not been resuscitated yet. There's been a few open houses, but it was weekly at one point, and has gone down to the rare month or every other month. It's unfortunate, but travel being what it is, that's gotten, well, we're just sort of waiting on that one. So NMRA, more complicated. Let's see, we'll back up 15, 20 years, where I was pretty much a lone wolf modeler for a very long time. And then finally came out of my shell and started going to the various local divisional meets and sort of being on the periphery at best for a very long time, many years, in fact, wondering, am I the only O-scale modeler in the NMRA? And I pretty much knew that wasn't true, but it didn't seem like there were any local that were also in the NMRA. But I was like, okay, fine, don't mind. Still learning stuff, going to clinics, picking up a tidbit here and there, useful tip, some scenery stuff, whatever. But it was useful. And then I made a terrible mistake of saying, okay, all these guys are having open houses. I say, maybe I want to do that. Maybe I'll open up. I must have been off my meds or something. But I did it. I contacted the local division guy and said, what do you need? What do you want? What do you expect? I was like, okay, I think I can do all that. Then I had a crowd troop through my basement. My layout was minimally operational. Trains would run around the loop 2 or 3 times, before something bad would happen. You fix it and you run them around the loop. And actually, I didn't do much of the running of them myself. I let my son was doing it. So I was talking to everybody while he was having fun running the trains. He had more fun running trains than I did. So I made the mistake that I had on display a module that I was building just as an exercise, teach myself how to build freight cars. And I was using that freight car book. I can't remember his name. White's that massive tome. That's it's perfectly good for killing small varmints if you drop it on them. But it has great diagrams of early, 19th century framing of boxcars. I thought, well, I wonder if I can actually build cars following that framing. So I built this module to represent a car erection assembly line, for lack of a better word. And I had this on display, and the guy said, who was my contact then at the division, said, you need to bring this to our mini convention in April. Put it in the contest room. I was like, you serious? I mean, were you crazy? I said, you really want to do that? Said, yeah, this is really, 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 really good. I said, okay, well, let me get some, he said, you got to get the forms filled. I was like, fine, okay, did do that. And I brought it to, I think, one of my other, I put out forms on one of the models that was actually on the module itself. And I entered it. And I got my first merit award for the flat car, and I won the superintendent's award for the module. And I thought, there could be something to this. I mean, this was fun. I enjoyed this. And that got me started down the AP pathway. And I was still just a member. And I stayed as a member for many, many years on that. But was taking all my models and stuff up to the regional convention and bringing home all my merit awards. And that's, I think, a year and a half later, I had all my merit awards for cars at one of the regional, at one single regional convention. I got cars. It was done. And by that point, I had volunteer, and I was halfway down the road to author. And then I made another tragic decision. I said yes when they asked me to be the contest chairman for the region. Okay, that was 10 years of entertainment. I'll use that word. I will confess, the first year I did it, I almost quit. I thought this was the most horrific thing I'd ever experienced in my life. Being on the other side of the fence, actually running the contest room, all the warts were revealed. And there were many warts and no wart remover handy. So I was really dismayed by what I saw. And I thought, I either need to walk away from this or fix it. Well, I kicked that around for about 3 weeks. And being a good writer of funding proposals from the government, I knew how to write a proposal. And I wrote one back to the region saying, we need to fix this. This is why. This is the problem. And here are the solutions. And if you get out of my way, give me some money and some time, I think I can do something about this. And I think I fixed it. I mean, it took a lot of work. I mean, I was traveling around all the divisions, lecturing, meeting with everybody, setting a lot of standards and rules and trying to get the playing field even. And I think it made a lot of people happy. And then after 10 years, well, during that 10 years, I did some other silly things. I actually became a director of my division for 1 year. And I thought that was so appallingly bad that I declined to be reelected and actually changed my address to a different division just to get out of my own division for a couple of years and clear my head. Meanwhile, I became a director for the region for 4 years. So, well, that was interesting because I ended up reporting to myself as contest chair. I was the director overseeing the contests. So that made it, nobody saw that as a conflict of interest. They all saw that as something good. I would tell myself to do good things, and I would go do good things, and then go tell myself that I have done good things, and I would report back to the board, he's done good things. And everybody smiled and, patted me on the back and said, that's good for doing good things. But like any good job, after 10 years, you say, this is really, really tedious, tiring, wears you down. You spend almost your entire convention, regional convention, in the contest room. And after 10 years of basically not attending the convention, but attending the convention, I said, that's enough. I find somebody else. I need to move on. And we found somebody else. I walked away from it all, took a year off, and then foolishly allowed myself to get elected as secretary for the region on the board of directors. And even more foolishly, I'm up for my third 2-year term right now. So I keep busy on that. In the meantime, retired, have fun with stuff.
So what kind of mentoring activities have you done in the, since I know the club's kind of more of a round robin, but from a division perspective and
mentoring. Right. Yeah. I tried to give a lot of clinics. I used to do a lot of hands-on clinics, teaching clinics, one of which was building, believe it or not, that silly flat car that you've seen under about 45 of my cars on this very show. I probably put together 175 to 225 kits in boxes of that kit for that flat car, and use them at clinics, teaching people how to build the basic flat car under the premise that if you can build the basic flat car in 3 hours, you're well on your way to building whatever else you want to build. And I had at least 3 MMRs come up and thank me about that clinic, saying, that got me my cars. Your clinic did it. I now knew how to do it. I thought, well, I helped a couple of people, and others have since said, that was really useful, because if you can build a flat car, you can build anything. It's just the basis for everything else. More modern times now, mentoring. I just did 2 clinics on AP cars for my division. We have got a new venue, a Knights of Columbus Hall, 8 miles from my house. And we made it into a workshop, not a clinic. And it was more along the lines of, Anybody who's interested in AP cars, bring your car, bring your tools, bring your stuff, bring your paperwork, bring whatever it is you want to bring. We'll set up shop. Everybody sit around and we'll have fun together. Put some music on. We'll have some coffee, have some donuts. We'll talk about all the problems anybody's having, and we'll talk about how to get from here to there. Regardless of where here is, regardless of what there is. People were building kits. People were building scratch building, an extensive scratch building of high-end prototype to that, down to the rivets and spacing of the rivets of a reefer car. And we had a lot of fun together. Just get together, sit around, enjoy each other's company, build some cars, enjoy building some stuff. And we're
So
going to do it again.
changing it from being a lecture to being more hands-on with either a focus on a specific car or just on a kind of a workshop, a 4-hour kind of workshop to come and get through those building challenges.
Well, and different people have different levels of expertise, different levels of knowledge. Granted, I'm not a big builder in styrene. Well, lots of people want to build in styrene. So one of our other board members in the division he did cars, and most of his cars he built in styrene. So we had him there for styrene and me for everything else. And if you had questions about how to do this or how to do that, we were available. We were also building things ourselves. But, I have a storage tub just of tool supplies. So I brought that and said, if you need something, it's over there in the toolbox. Go get it. It was, and we're going to do it again in August, only we're going to shift this to structures, AP structures. The president of the region is going to come in and he's going to give a little presentation. He's got a supplies list. He's going to show how to build a small trestle, because a bridge is a required component of structures. One of your 12 has to be a bridge. And he's gotten his structure certificate building this bridge. So he's going to teach everybody how to get one of the required elements.
Excellent.
Yeah, so we're trying to do that. The division does monthly clinics by Zoom because, we weren't doing monthly clinics. 3 years ago, we weren't doing them at all. We were doing a once a year gathering for the mini convention. And then maybe monthly open houses, one a month. Okay, if you've ever driven around the DC area, you might understand how incredibly painful that might really be to go attend something. It'd take you an hour to get there and maybe 3 hours to get back. And how long are you going to spend at somebody else's layout? 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. And sometimes the longer you spend there, the longer it is to get home. So, but we weren't doing clinics. So when the pandemic hit, I thought, let's try Zoom. Let's see what happens. And we didn't have a full-blown account when we started, so we had 30-minute time limits. We were doing 30-minute clinics. But we were getting 30 people to show up. I thought, well, that's pretty good. Let's go spring for the full paid account. And we actually had some members donate money. So we bought an account and renew it every year. And we meet by Zoom monthly. And we have anywhere from 25 to 65 people show up. And we no longer have a traffic issue. And we do it on Sunday afternoon. And people seem to like that. It's like they feel like we got our Saturdays back. We can do what we want with the family on Saturday. We don't have to go do our model train meet thing on Saturday. They're all home on Sunday anyhow. Now they go get up their computer and they join us on Sunday afternoon. In the meantime, one of our board members he's a contractor, builds houses, the multi-million-dollar DC area houses. Yeah, he builds them. But he also built a little barn out, which he calls the hobby barn, out at his back behind his house. And we were having, during the pandemic, live clinics, limited to 6 12 people, depending on the size and complexity of the clinic. And, it was masks and everything, but we were having once a month or every other month. It was once a month, hands-on or a live lecture clinic out there, which sometimes were streamed live and sometimes, most of the time not, but we've been kept rather busy, and we've been busier because of the pandemic than before. Now we're going to have a joint, at least 2 divisions, perhaps 3 divisions meeting with us in November. That same board member has access, his church, he has a church which has a full gymnasium attached to it, with an upstairs area, the whole area above it, and rooms and a venue of phenomenal size. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but the price, as Jim will approve of, is free.
Love it.
However, we do pass the Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket around the room. The minister will pass the bucket, and our members the first year coughed up $400.
Yeah.
The second year they coughed up $600. So, we don't charge for anything. I bring the donuts. So I bring the, somebody makes coffee, but we have members when we get together. The wallet's open, which is interesting. And I think that proves a very interesting point about the socializing and getting together and having fun together aspect. They're generous and are willing to give.
I think that's a really good point. The idea that taking advantage of virtual for things that can be done remotely, but still having those local events and making them a lot more hands-on. I think that's one of the challenges we have is if your physical events have clinics that could have been done virtually, people may react negatively to that.
Yeah, it's hard to do some of the clinics. We did do an open house layout tour through Zoom, but the person doing it actually had a professional camera gimbal, and his son, I think it was, actually, or wife, actually had this all set up. So it was, there was no seasickness involved with the camera. It was rock steady. It was like a pro camera setup. And we thought about investing in such a thing for future possibilities. It's a bit, when it runs into the 4 figures, it starts to get painful.
Yeah, I think that's one of the advantages of having a physical event is you can do layout tours.
Yeah.
And hit a few in the afternoon. Well, thanks, Martin. That was great info. I think great your background. I guess the last question I would ask you is,
Sure.
If you were talking to someone who hadn't volunteered, you've done a lot of volunteering in different roles, what would you say you got back other than being an MMR out of volunteering? I mean, what were the rewards to you personally of taking the time and expending the effort and being a volunteer?
Oh, well, you get to meet a lot of people that you otherwise would never interact with. And you make some friends, and you might actually learn something from the people that you're interacting with. I think that's rather important. And, it's it may be work at one level, but there's a sense of satisfaction as to actually executing something and meeting people, learning something. Satisfaction also of teaching something. My teaching activities were actually limited to postdoctoral students, not too many bachelor's level, but there's a certain satisfaction of watching people, the light bulb going on over other people's heads when you explain something to them. You feel like, hey, I got something, I got something back out of it. You get some feedback out of that.
Cool.
You feel like you learned something too.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Martin. I really appreciate it, and some great insights. So with that, Jim, we'll throw it back to you.